And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we will be discussing what's in the stimulus package for small business owners. What are some of the pros and what are some of the cons? I begin to start looking through the legislation, and number one, it's over 800 pages. And it was passed over a week. So I know that most of the legislators didn't actually read all 800 plus pages of the legislation. And then I began to start thinking, and two things immediately jumped out at me. Number one, either the economy is going to be really bad, and the government is basically bribing small businesses not to lay people off and to pay people for a demand that's not there. Or number two, most of you are not going to qualify for most of the loans because of the technicalities in the fine print. So they put it out there anyway. And that's what I'm beginning to see. One thing about me, you know where my ideology lies. I am a small government libertarian. That's what I believe. But I believe in giving you information because many of you do not share my same ideals. But we could begin to start to see, and I'm going to lay out my case here, that government is just inefficient in what they do, and it's going to be a lot of problems with many of you qualifying for these loans and getting the proper funding. And there's no such thing as a free lunch. This is going to cost you one way or another. And I'm sharing with you a meme. I'm going to give you the good stuff first, and then I'm going to dive into the bad stuff. But I'm sharing with you a meme right here. And governments cannot print money out of thin air. They don't have this printing press where it doesn't affect you. It's going to impact you through inflation. When they print money, they can print it out of thin air, but it has an impact, and it's going to impact you financially through inflation. So I wanted to share this meme with you before we get ready to get started. It says, no, you can't artificially inflate the economy by creating money to fight an economic downturn. You can't just change market signals by using monetary policy. You are distorting the natural rate of interest reno. No. And then they have, money printer go brrr. And when you put money in the money printer, it makes that noise. Brrr. So I wanted to put that out there for you. So as you come into the live stream, guys, please like the video, share the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Make sure that you join my mailing list so that you can always be notified when I'm live or when I'm uploading a video. Also, if you want to contact me, you can follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, and I will respond back to you. And if you want to support the content financially, a link to both my PayPal and Cash App will be in the description below. And with that being said, let's first get to the good stuff. I want to be positive. I don't want to be too negative. And then we'll get into the negative stuff. So right off the bat, this article right here is from March 29th, 2020. And it says getting cash for your small business through the CARES Act, right? So I just want to get to the good part right here. And let's go to this one. This is the one I wanted to get to first because this article is smaller. So, shorter, I mean. Who is eligible for small businesses, loans, and economic stimulus package? So it says President Trump signed the third and final economic stimulus package into law this afternoon. The law provides clear guidelines on what small businesses are eligible and what their loans will look like. Here are the details. The total amount of money going in the fund is $349 billion. The loans are federally guaranteed, meaning there is no interest on the loan and tax-free. All payments are deferred for 1 year. That's very key here. So all of the payments are going to be deferred for 1 year. Any business with less than 500 employees is eligible for the loan. All states and territories are eligible. Self-employed individuals, independent contractors, and sole proprietors are eligible. Priority will be given to businesses in underserved and rural markets, including veterans and members of the military community, women, socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, and businesses that are less than 2 years old, reads the text of the bill. Okay? Now, before we finish reading this article, there's a $10,000 grant that all self-employed people can go right now and get. And within 3 days, the money will be deposited into your bank account. This is a grant for self-employed people. So if you're an Uber driver, if you do landscaping, as long as you're self-employed, you can go to this website, and I'm going to cover this later, but I want to give you the good stuff now. You simply go here, you fill out this form, and within 3 days, the money will be in your account. And that's a grant. It's a forgivable grant, and it's up to $10,000. And I want to make this very clear. I'm not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. Please go and seek professional legal advice. My job is to give you the information, and then you go and you look up that information for yourself, and you go out and hire someone. This guy right here, Clear Value Tax Preparation. This is his YouTube channel. I want to put it out there because he's speaking about this a lot. He's been speaking about this, making videos, and you're going to see a lot of YouTubers out here talking about this. Guys, seek professional help. Go make sure that you're listening to people that know what they're talking about. He has a video right here on his channel. Stimulus package, forgivable loan, first come, first serve. And I'm going to get to why that's problematic in a second. But again, it's up to $10,000. You go there, you apply for it. Within 3 days, the money will be put in your bank account. The problem is there's only $10 billion. So when you start doing the math, if there's $10 billion and they're giving $10,000 grants, and there's 35 million small businesses, roughly, give or take a million here or a million there, that means only 1 million people are going to get this emergency grant. Right? All you have to do is divide the $10,000 by the $10 billion. Only 1 million people are going to be able to get this grant. So if I was you, I would definitely run right now and make sure that you go out and try to get this grant, because we know government is inefficient. Government is extremely slow. The website's already been bogged down, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But I want to give you guys the positive stuff, because you know I'm going to get real negative in a second. And I know many of you just want to hear free money. So let me give you the free money stuff before I get negative. And thank you for telling me that. I'm going to post the website right here. It's the sba.gov. Paste. Put the link. Love the constant uplift for all that want it. No problem. Thank you for the donation, Blake Rhodes Anderson. I appreciate it. So that's the link right here. You simply click on the top where it says click here, and it will take you to the application. This is the application right here. It's fairly straightforward. It's not complicated. And this is just for the grant. We're going to get to the loan and stuff in a second. But if you want the grant in your bank account within a matter of 3 days, go here immediately. I'm going to repeat this again. There's only $10 billion set aside for the grant. This is not the loan. This is just for the grant. There's $10 billion, and they're giving grants up to $10,000. If you do the math, there's 35 million small businesses in the United States. So if you divide $10,000 by the $10 billion of funding, that means it's only enough for 1 million small business owners. So go and get it immediately. Don't waste any time. Now we're going to get to the loans and stuff. That's deeper. Payroll tax and stuff like that. We're going to get to that in a second. But I want to just highlight that for you. Go get this free money. Do not wait. So I read that part. And again, I want to make this clear. It says priority will be given to businesses in underserved and rural markets, including veterans and members of the military community, women, socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, and businesses that are less than 2 years old, reads the text of the bill. And you have to have less than 500 employees is eligible for the loan. All states and territories are eligible. Self-employed individuals, independent contractors, and sole proprietors are also eligible. All right. It says, how does the loan work, right? So now let's get to the loan. It says the loan is forgivable, meaning it doesn't have to be paid back. So this is after you get the grant. You can then apply for an additional loan during what is called a covered period. This period is 8 weeks. chosen by the small business owner and the lending agency between February 15th, 2020 and June 30th, 2020. The total amount of the forgivable loan, which is more akin to a grant, is 2.5 times the business's monthly payroll. The maximum amount that can be given to a single business is $10 million. I'm going to repeat that again. The total amount of this forgivable loan, which is more akin to a grant, is 2.5 times the business's monthly payroll. The maximum amount that can be given to a single business is $10 million. And I did the math for you. Very simple. Pull up a calculator, right? You have 2.5 times your monthly payroll. Let's say your monthly payroll is $20,000. That gives you a $50,000 loan. They're going to do it for a period of over 8 weeks. So that means for 2 months, you can get up to, so you take your payroll, what your monthly payroll is, you multiply it by 2.5, right? That gives you $50,000 a month. So if they're giving it to you for 8 weeks, that's 2 months, that gives you $100,000. That means you are eligible to borrow $100,000. Again, go out and seek professional financial advice. I'm just giving you a template, some guidelines, and then you go from there. Let's finish reading the article. And it says, this period is 8 weeks chosen by the small business owner and the lending agency. I want to make that clear. All operating costs, including employee payroll and other forms of compensation, employee health care, interest on mortgage, rent, utilities, and debt payments are included. The quarterly payroll cost for an employee cannot be more than $33,333, i.e. equivalent of an annual salary of $100,000. If a small business had to lay off employees during the covered period, the forgivable amount of the loan will be also reduced proportionally. For example, if a small business cut back half of their workforce, the amount of the loan will be reduced by 50%. If employee salaries were reduced by more than 25%, the loan will be reduced proportionally. But if all employees are rehired and their full salaries restored by June 30th, no reduction of loan will occur. So, wanted to give that information to you, put it in the chat so that you can go and make sure that you are doing your due diligence on this stuff. It's important. Again, in my personal opinion, I don't really think that this is good. As I said before, 2 things strike me immediately when I start reading the legislation, right? Either the economy is going to be really, really bad and the government's literally bribing you to keep your employees, although there's no demand in the marketplace for them, which creates moral hazard, or many of you are not going to be able to qualify for most of this funding that they're putting out here. And I believe that it's really going to be the latter, that the economy is just going to be really, really, really bad. And at that point, it may be better for you to file bankruptcy, right? Like, because all they're doing is, prolonging the inevitable. If there's no demand for your product and services, you getting this loan, even if it's, you don't have to pay the loan back if you keep your employees employed, eventually you're going to end up losing your business anyway, right? Just think about it. Like, you can get all the funding in the world. If there's no demand for your product or service in the marketplace, that's going to be problematic. You're eventually going to have to file bankruptcy anyway. Now, the beautiful thing about this type of loan is that if you do the right thing, like, this is not a loan for you to go out and buy a new BMW or Mercedes-Benz. These loans are meant for you to keep your employees and keep your business up and running. I want to make that clear to you. Like, this is not a loan that you can take and go out and speculate. This is a loan that is meant for you to keep your business running. But as I just stated, if there's no demand for your business, you're still going to end up having to file bankruptcy anyway, which is why it's important that if you are in that situation where your business may not be thriving or may not be able to succeed, you may want to really consider that option as far as filing bankruptcy. There's another article that came out the other day, and the name of this program is called the Economic Injury Disaster Loans. It says the SBA offers many favorable terms in their EIDLs. Loans are up to $2 million. The term is 30 years. Interest rates are 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits. The first month's payments are deferred a full year from the date of the promissory note. And here goes some other bullet points. The EIDL's expanded provisions include can be approved by the SBA based solely on an applicant's credit score, not repayment ability, and no tax return is required. That's key. I like that. So not repayment ability and no tax return is required. It goes off your credit score. Smaller than $200,000 can be approved without a personal guarantee. This is really, really key. And that goes back to what I was saying before. You don't have to put any collateral up for these loans, and you don't have to do a personal guarantee. So what that means is that these loans are not going to be attached to your social security number. So in the event that your business ends up going belly up, which is a good thing, these loans are attached to the business. So even if you take this funding out and for whatever reason you can't pay it back, that's a good thing. That if you have to file bankruptcy, all of that stays not with you because there's no personal guarantee and there's no collateral being put up. It's just really the debt's going to be in the business. It says, it says exactly what I just said. They are also not requiring real estate as collateral and will take a general security interest in business property. Borrowers can receive $10,000 in emergency grant cash advance that can be forgiven if spent on paid leave, maintaining payroll, increased costs due to supply chain disruption, mortgage or lease payments, or repaying obligations that cannot be met due to revenue loss. So again, guys, go here and go get that free $10,000. They're giving away free money. It expands access to sole proprietors or independent contractors, as well as tribal businesses, cooperatives, and ESOPs with fewer than 500 employees, and all nonprofits, including 501c6s. And now let's get to, again, this guy right here, Clear Value Tax Preparation. He's been talking about this. He goes into deep detail. If you want to get more information on this, go visit his YouTube channel. He does a really, really good job at breaking this down. Now let's get to some of the negative stuff. So first of all, you can see that this legislation is 880 pages. There's no way that your legislator, within a matter of a week, actually sat down and read this legislation. And see, this is the problem when you have government should be decentralized. The federal government has way too much power. A lot of the power needs to be given back to the states. And we need to have local government, local solutions. We've already seen the FDA botch the testing. We've seen that happen with the CDC and the FDA, what the guidelines were for testing, how many testing kits did they have. That was all botched by government. And you hear these people say, we just need bigger government. We need more regulation and more government. Well, the regulation was why the testing couldn't get done in the first place. Because the CDC had a set of guidelines and the FDA had a set of guidelines and FEMA had a set of guidelines, and we couldn't get the testing kits out. We couldn't get the ventilators out because of government. But see, you don't hear these people who call for big government. You never hear them talk about their failures. They only talk about why we need more funding. They don't talk about what they've been doing with the funding that they've already received. But I'll get to that later. So right off the bat, me being a three-dimensional thinker, right? It says here, refinance the covered loan or $10 million, right? So it says 2.5 and the outstanding amount of a loan under subsection B2 that was made during, let me highlight this for you so you can see, during the period beginning on January 31st, 2020 and ending on the date on which covered loans are made available to be refinanced under the covered loan. So they're saying or $10 million. But then when you go here, back to this article, let's see, let's go to find. So I want to make sure I can find it. I don't think it's on here. I want to be clear because I found it in here earlier. And it just stood out to me. I said, that's weird. It says $2 million here. Better yet, let's go right to the website. Right? It says, so if you go to the SBA.gov's website, it says, I'm not going to say the name of the virus because they'll demonetize my video. It says, in response to the virus pandemic, small business owners in all U.S. states, Washington, D.C., and territories are eligible to apply for an economic injury disaster loan, advance of up to $10,000, right? And then it says, small businesses with working capital loans of up to $2 million. So here it says $2 million on the SBA.gov website, but when you go to the legislation, it says $10 million. So right off the back, you can clearly see there's a disconnect. The legislation says $10 million, but then when you go to the SBA.gov's website, right here, they say up to $2 million. And this is the problem with government. I've been an entrepreneur now for, over 10 years? I cannot tell you how hard it is when it comes time for your taxes, when it comes time for getting funding from the government, how they bounce you from one department to the next department. It's going to be a nightmare to get these loans. And there's 125 of you watching. Please hit the like. It helps the content rank and get out there. Right here, right off the back, we can see it's a problem here. The next problem that they were having was that the website was down. Right, it says the SBA reopens online applications for disaster loans because people were anticipating the legislation getting passed, and then there was leaks of what was in the legislation. So people started hitting the website. They don't have the bandwidth, right, and the infrastructure to sustain that many people hitting the website. So you know what's going to happen? You're going to start seeing the website crash. You're going to have to keep resubmitting your application, and this has happened to me before. Then what's going to happen is you're going to have incomplete. One of your applications are going to be incomplete. Then you're going to apply again, and they're going to say, "Wait, you already have an application." So you're going to end up submitting probably 2 or 3 different applications, which is going to be a nightmare because their website can't handle it. And the next thing that stood out to me was because the legislation was leaked, many people were filling out this form because this site right here just got put up earlier today. This clean looking site for the loan. So people went here and started filling out this application, the U.S. Small Business Administration Disaster Business Loan Application. And everything here looks fine. The problem right here is section 15. It says, give me one second, amount of estimated loss. And you can tell that this was copy and pasted for natural disaster reliefs. That this isn't really tailored towards people like myself who may run an internet-based business, right? Where you may be or a consulting agency, because it says the amount of estimated loss. So you can check real estate, you can check machinery or equipment, you can check inventory, or you can check leasehold improvements. But none of these really apply to me. So where do I check for section 5? Like there needs to be a 5th box. None of the above, because none of these apply to me. And it says, if unknown, enter a question mark. Okay, if just enter question mark, like we live in a digital age. Because New York City is shut down and my business, I have to go out and network and consult and speak to people and build relationships. And because New York City's locked down, I'm losing business. And there's no box for me to check. I don't have any real estate. I don't have any machinery or equipment. I don't have inventory. Or think about, like, for example, if you run a business where you're just selling goods and services, like what you've lost is customers because no one's walking down the street. That's your business. But again, this is what happens when you have government in charge and you have people who, they're just basically throwing stuff together and saying, oh, it's an emergency. Let's hurry up and get everything passed and just throw it out there. Like, that's not how things should be done. And as I said before, it's going to be so hard for you to really get a lot of this funding, because there's going to be so many loopholes and so many different things. And then you're going to be calling this department and they're going to bounce you to that department. So what you need to do is, to avoid that, go and start applying for this stuff immediately. So as I said, this was the application. And I know a few people who went through this where they went and filled this application out on Sunday. But then now this new website popped up and now they have to go here and fill out the application again because there's a different process. Right? So you have to really think about that. Like, working with government is going to be extremely, extremely problematic. Now look how simple this website is versus this application. This is how things should have been done from the beginning. So now you have thousands of people who probably filled out this application, and they're going to have to come back here now and fill this out again. Now, filling this out, this is for the $10,000 grant. And then there's going to be another site that they're going to redirect you to fill out the application. Filling this out is pretty simple, right? Applicant is a business with not more than 500 employees. Applicant is an individual who operates under a sole proprietorship, with or without employees, or as an independent contractor. So you go here and you fill it out. Well, these loans are good. Somebody's saying loans are not. No, these loans are good loans because, number one, if you do the right thing with the funding, and I want to make that very clear, you don't have to pay back these loans. These loans are going to be forgivable. So these are good loans for small business. If the economy comes back in the next 60 to 90 days, 120 days, and you do the right thing with this funding, you hire people, you keep your employees on the payroll, and you do what you're supposed to do. You pay your mortgage, you send over your statements, you have an accountant, you have a payroll department, and you do what you're supposed to do. These loans will be forgiven, meaning that they are backed by the government, and you will not have to pay these loans back if you do the right thing with these loans. If you take these loans and you start doing, buying new cars and dipping into the money and using it as your personal slush fund, then yes, you're going to have to pay the money back. The whole purpose of this is so that you can hire people and keep your employees on the books. That's the purpose of these loans. These are not like traditional loans where you have to pay them back. If you do what you're supposed to do, you won't have to pay back these loans. The $10,000 grant that all entrepreneurs, small businesses, if you have an EIN number, you have, I think even SSN, a social security number, you can apply for the $10,000 grant. That's forgivable as well. You don't have to pay that back, but you have to use it for your business. You have to use it for your business. I want to make that very clear. These loans need to be used for your business. And that covers that part right there. That covers that part. So now I want to get to something else, because something else stood to me. And this goes back to, like I was saying before, about government being inefficient. I keep seeing people talk about, government, we need free healthcare for everyone. Give me 1 second. Free tuition for everyone. Free housing for everyone. Just free. The way that this administration has been handling what's going on with this pandemic should begin to trigger to you that that's not government's role. Government's not efficient enough to do that. They're just not. Even if you go back to the 2008 crisis, government believes that all they can do is just throw a bunch of money at the problem and that solves it, and it doesn't solve it. And I want to play what Andrew Cuomo was saying in this video because it speaks to what I've been saying time and time again.
Procurement Act was all about. And at the rate they are going, it is not happening. FEMA says we're sending 400 ventilators. Really? What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators. It is not happening. The Defense Procurement Act was all about. And at the rate they are going, it is not happening. FEMA says we're sending 400 ventilators. Really? What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators.
Mm-hmm. Let me give you some advice.
So, and I like that he said that, because that's the problem. There's so much regulation between who's going to make the ventilators, how many they're going to make, who's going to get the funding, who's not going to get the funding, what are the guidelines for getting the ventilators there, how much does this state get versus the other state. That's government for you. That's government failure. That's government failure. But you know what the government's going to say? We need more power. We need more regulation. We need more regulation. We need more funding. We need to take away more of your rights, more of your liberty, so that we can keep effing it up every time. So we can keep effing it up every time. The FDA sets guidelines as to what type of testing has to go into a particular product or service that deals with medicine before it can come out to the marketplace. And because they make it so onerous, we've had so many ways that we can make ventilators much more efficiently, but the FDA, with their process, with regulation, slows up the process. But then they blame it on business. Yes, a lot of these corporations, they are crooks. And they are trying to deindustrialize the West and ship jobs overseas. But they skip over the government regulation that was the reason why the testing kits couldn't get out in the first place. Because the CDC had guidelines as to when you could be testing for the particular virus. So it took weeks before we could even lower the guidelines and the threshold to even test people. That's a failure of government. That's your government failing. You can't blame this on corporations. You have to blame this on your government. Your government is not in place for that. I want to play this again. They're not properly equipped to deal with things the way they should. And every time they don't adequately respond, they say, oh, we couldn't respond because we don't have enough funding. Or we couldn't respond because we need more money, i.e. we need to tax you more, or we need to put more money into existence. That's always their solution. If we had more funding, we would do a better job. And then you give them $10 million. And they say, oh, if we had more funding, we would do better. See, we couldn't do a good job with $10 million because it's not enough. So then you give them $20 million. Then it's $100 million. Then it's $1 billion. Then it's $20 billion. Then it's $1 trillion deficit. Next is going to be $2 trillion. How many trillions of dollars do you need to do the job before we start saying, you know what? Maybe they just can't do the job. Maybe they're just not efficient and adequate at doing the job. Maybe that. You never hear them say that. I mean, we've seen what happened with FEMA and Hurricane Katrina. We've seen how they did a good job at Hurricane Katrina, and I'm being sarcastic. We've seen what the regulators did, the SEC, with regulating Wall Street. They don't do a good job regulating Wall Street. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on about how government keeps failing, and every time they fail, their solution isn't maybe we need a better government as far as a system, a better system at governing. No, it's just we need more money and we need more regulation. That doesn't work. And I'm going to play this so that you can hear the whole thing. I just want to play that clip.
I mean, I have to find personnel. I have a lot of startup capital. Well, then act like it's a war. Fine, work with companies. Look at actions, not words. They're doing the supplies. Here's my question. Where are they? Where are the ventilators? Where are the gowns? Where's the PPEs? Where are the masks? Where are they? Where are they if they're doing it? And by the way, Peter Navarro, well, we want to work with companies. Fine, work with companies. What the Defense Procurement Act was about, the country needed materials to go to war. They didn't, when we went to war, we didn't say, any company out there want to build a battleship? Who wants to build a battleship? Maybe a couple of you guys could get together and build a battleship. Maybe a couple of you guys could get together and build us some missiles. Maybe you think. Anybody want to build a plane? You know, we're going to need planes. They're sending planes at us and they're dropping bombs. Anybody want to do that? That's not how you did it. President said it's a war. It is a war. Well, then act like it's a war. And it's not anti-business. Nobody's talking about change the governmental philosophy. By the way, the businesses would welcome it. I speak to the businesses. You know what they say? I'll do it, but I need startup capital. I can't turn my factory overnight into a ventilator manufacturing company. I have to buy equipment, I have to find personnel, I have a lot of startup capital. Will you give me the startup capital? Will you give me an order that says if I go through all this, you will buy X?
Which proves my point. Going back to what I was saying before, that's corporatism. That's crony capitalism. That's crony capitalism. Because what companies do you think are going to receive these contracts? Do you think it's going to be the best businesses equipped to do the job? Or do you think it's going to be their friends that have donated to their campaigns, that have been lobbying down in Washington, that's going to get these contracts from the government? See, this is the problem with the system, because it's all about incentive. Who's going to reap the benefit? The same people who deindustrialize the West, who ship jobs overseas, who don't pay taxes, who get bailed out by the taxpayer, they're going to then get these big government contracts to manufacture this stuff. And like Tony Jones Clark said, this is all a cash grab. That's what I tried to say to you before, guys. It's not that I'm one of these anti-government people. It's the system. This system is flawed. Centralization, whenever you centralize a bunch of power in a few people's hands, you set yourself up for failures like this. Government needs to be more localized, community-based. You can't have a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington understanding what's happening all the way in San Francisco or happening down in Miami. You just can't. It's so inefficient to operate a government that way. And this keeps happening over and over and over again. And it's going to keep happening. Over and over again. Problem, reaction, solution. So their friends who donate money, who give them the money to go and campaign, they're going to get all of these government contracts to make masks, to make ventilators. This is all a show. And they're going to automate those jobs. They're not going to actually put Americans to work. They're going to go try to find a way that they can either ship it to Mexico, ship it to China, ship it to India somehow, or get 3D printers to print the ventilators. But they're not going to hire people. And that's a shame.
X number of units. It's actually a pro-business mentality, not an anti-business mentality. This is a false distinction. Well, we don't want to tell business what to do. That's our philosophy. We don't want to tell business what to do. You know what business wants? They want to make money. That's what they want. They want to put people to work. They want to open their factory. They want to make money. Let them open their factory and make money. Help them do that by ordering the supplies you need. It's a war. You're right. Say, Zach, you're building battleships. Here's your contract. God bless you. That's how. That's what the Defense Procurement Act was all about. And at the rate they are going, it is not happening. FEMA says we're sending 400 ventilators. Really? What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators.
Thank you for the donation. Becoming a Cardesive Type 1 citizen. Play that, please. I'm not going to play that right now because it's not a part of the presentation, but I'll look into it and I'll play it. I'll see if I want to play it later. But thank you for the donation. I'll look into the video because I don't want to play something and get a copyright strike. So I'll look into it, and then during the next live stream, I'll look into it and I'll play it. But, you know, this is why I laugh when I hear people constantly talking about, you know, government this, government that. We need more government. We need more regulation. This is the problem. Because it's not coordinated. It's too fragmented. Too many different organizations. Too much alphabet soup. As I said to you before, you go over here, you look at the legislation. It says $10 million here. But then you go to the website, it says $2 million here. Right? So confusing. So all over the place. Then the website's crashing. So then you fill out an application for the small business loan, and then you find out you're waiting for your money because you filled out 2 applications, but the website crashed. So you're thinking that the second one that you completed is going to be good enough, and you're sitting here waiting. You don't get a response. You contact them in 2 weeks. They say, "Oh, well, you didn't finish your application." And you're saying, wait, what the hell are you talking about? I did finish my application. The website crashed. I did another one. Oh, well, we only got the incomplete one. This is what happens. This is what happens. This is government for you. This is the failure. So let's look at the markets. Let's see what the market's been doing now. Let's look at the overall markets. And guys, please like this video, share this video. It helps the content rank in the search engines. Let's look at the markets overview. So we can see they update the S&P all the time too. The Dow was up 690 points. The DAX was up 183 points. The FTSE was up 53 points. The Nikkei was up 148 points. So across the board, global markets are up. We can look at the chart of the S&P. Again, guys, I would not be looking to get long. I would be looking to fade any of these rallies immediately. I would not be looking to put any money to work. I believe that we already have another 30 days of social distancing. That's going to definitely put a damper on the economy because basically people are going to be stuck in their house another 30 days. Cases keep rising. Deaths keep rising. So I would be looking to short these rallies. I would not be looking to go long this market at all right now. I'm just not confident in getting long this market at all. But again, that's what makes a market. You believe that something is overvalued. I believe it's undervalued. You want to go long. I want to go short. I want to go long. You want to go short. That's what makes a market. Let's look at gold. See how gold is performing. This is a weekly chart. Let's pull up a daily chart. See what's going on with gold. Gold is flagging right now. Gold's definitely going to rip and go much higher. And this goes back to the money printer, guys. The money printer's going brrr. Fed's going to print. Trump's already coming out talking about that, you know, because we borrow and our debt is denominated in our own currency, we can print as much money as we want to. Yes, this is a conservative Republican president that's saying this. You know, so we know what's going to happen with the dollar. So we can see gold is definitely setting up to go much higher. And let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin was pumping today. It's a weekly chart. Let's look at a daily chart of Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin like is flagging to go lower though, honestly. Which leads me to my next point. Another reason why I wouldn't want to get long this market is over the next 2 weeks, what we're going to start to see a lot of companies have to file bankruptcy. A lot of hedge funds are going to blow up because they're extremely over leveraged. A lot of people in the oil and gas drilling space and the refinery space, you're going to start to see a lot of them start to blow up as well. So I would definitely be very hesitant about getting long any companies as far as trading is concerned. If you're investing, I'll read it for the chat or for people who may watch the video later. Thank you for the donation. It says you don't have to read this. I forgot to write nice videos. Thank you, no problem. Isaac Arthur's on your time. Extremely nice detail with picture videos. Okay. So if you're investing into something, Miss Leah P said, so buying into gold and Bitcoin is no good. Of course, buying gold and Bitcoin is good. Remember, guys, I'm buying these things for the long term. I know they're going to print money. I own gold and I own Bitcoin. I just think that Bitcoin is going to go lower. That doesn't mean I'm going to, right? And I understand you may be new, so I want to repeat this for you. Excuse me. It's called personal finance for a reason. You have to figure out, what are you buying something for? Are you buying something because you want to own it long term? Are you buying something because you just want to make a quick buck? I don't get caught up in the day-to-day price fluctuations of gold. I don't get caught up in the day-to-day price fluctuations of Bitcoin. I understand why I'm investing in these particular assets, and I understand why I'm holding these assets. And I'm holding them for the next 3 to 5 years, right? Like, I'm not holding them because I'm looking to make $1 million next week. I'm holding them because everything that this government has shown me is that they're going to print money out of thin air. They're going to bail everyone out, and that's going to be beneficial to me. I'm just saying to you, right, when I'm talking about the stock market right here. This is the S&P 500. You're going to start to see a lot of companies go bankrupt and file bankruptcy, or hedge funds, investment funds, and that's going to make the market tank. And what you have to understand is, if you understand market mechanics, many of these hedge funds are over levered. They're using a lot of leverage, and they hedge themselves in other markets. So if they go long over here, they may take a short position in another asset class. Or a lot of hedge funds, what they did is they built a big position in gold. So what happens is that whenever you have a margin call, you have to raise collateral. You have to raise liquidity. And obviously everything's denominated in a dollar. So when you've seen this sell-off happening, this sell-off happened because people were getting liquidated, right? Like, they had to sell what they were holding to raise cash to cover other positions. So this is all forced selling. This is gold we're looking at now, right? This isn't based off supply and demand. This is based off of people being over leveraged, and they're being forced to have to liquidate because they're blowing up, because they may have been overweight in stocks. So they have to raise cash to keep their stock positions, because they're probably using a lot of leverage and margin to do so. And you may see some more pressure in assets like gold, or in assets like crypto. I'm about to read an article for you right now so that you can understand that. You may see more pressure in these assets because these are funds blowing up. These are hedge funds getting liquidated, and they're getting moved out of the market. But a lot of assets are correlated, and that correlation happens because of the way that most hedge funds and most just trading funds operate. So it creates a lot of correlations in the market, where if something goes up, another industry goes down. Or if one sector goes up, then this sector goes up. That's just a bunch of correlation and algorithms really running the market. You're going to see it decouple soon. And markets aren't going to be that correlated. And that's what we're banking on. Because if you look at the physical demand for gold and silver, if you go to the bullion dealers, you can see the demand for gold and silver is extremely high. So see, this is the paper market. I don't focus on the paper market. I focus on the physical market. What's happening in the physical market tells you all you need to know about the assets that you own, right? So if you own gold and silver, and you're calling up your bullion dealer, or you're going on APMEX or JM Bullion, and you see that they're sold out of almost everything, there's a 3-week backlog and back orders, you know that there's physical demand for that product. They can only manipulate these markets for but so long. This is the paper market, right? This is just people buying and selling on paper, and they're getting liquidated. But we know, those of us who own the physical asset, we know what's happening, which goes back to Bitcoin. Most of this selling that you've seen happening here were people who were basically, this crypto that was exchanging hands was less than 90 days old. It was new money, right? It was new money being liquidated. People who've been holding Bitcoin for 3 years or longer, none of that Bitcoin moved. And that's the beautiful thing about having an open ledger. You can see who's moving their assets on a blockchain. Most of the crypto being liquidated were people who purchased that Bitcoin within the last 90 days. That's new money. Those are weak hands. And I want to read that article for you. It says, On-chain data suggests Bitcoin sell-off fueled by new investors. Excuse me. It says Coinmetrics state of the network research claims short-term holders fueled the crypto asset sell-off. The events of March 12th left people wondering why BTC and many other cryptocurrencies lost considerable value. Of course, most individuals understood that the panic selling stemmed from the fears surrounding the virus outbreak that ravaged global markets. Let's just get to the good part. Here we go. It says BTC price also reacted to certain events during the last 2 weeks, including the Fed's emergency rate cut, Trump's travel ban. Here we go. I want to see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, it says on March 11th, about 281,000 Bitcoin that had been untouched for at least 30 days were revived. So 281,000 Bitcoin that wasn't touched for the last 30 days were revived. But only 4,131 Bitcoin that had been untouched for at least 1 year were revived. That signals that a vast majority of activity on March 11th and March 12th involved BTC that had been held for less than 1 year. And you can see this chart, and I love this chart. Because this chart right here, this blue line, this is 30 days. So you see most of the people that are moving that Bitcoin, those are people who are holding Bitcoin for only 30 days. Right? And then this Bitcoin right here that you see moving, this green line, 90 days. But the people who've been holding Bitcoin for longer than 180 days, or holding Bitcoin for longer than 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, or 2 years, look at these lines down here. They didn't move their Bitcoin. People who've been holding Bitcoin for over a year didn't move their Bitcoin at all. What does that tell you? Those are hodlers or last resort. People like me, who I've been investing in Bitcoin since $700, $800, and this latest bull run that we had up to 20K, I'm deep in the money still. I'm deep in the money. So I'm not underwater. These people who are being forced to sell here, these are people who brought at 10,000 and they're being forced to liquidate at a loss. So this is new money that's selling. People who brought Bitcoin in the last 30 days or the last 180 days. See, so when you have to start getting worried when you see old money start selling their Bitcoin. People who've been holding their Bitcoin for over a year, over 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. When you see that Bitcoin start moving on chain, then across the chain and across the network, then you have to start saying to yourself, okay, big money's moving out of, long-term investors, big people who are holding, they're liquidating and selling. Like people like me, if Bitcoin drops to $2,500, if Bitcoin drops to $1,000, I will sell my kidney, I will start prostituting, I will sell everything in my house to buy every ounce of Bitcoin that I can buy. If Bitcoin comes down to $1,000 or $2,500. If Bitcoin comes crashing down, I will sell my body. I will be on my community tab. I will be on Instagram. I will be on Tinder, Plenty of Fish, and I will be marketing my services to get every dollar I can humanly possibly get to buy every ounce of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tezos, and every other cryptocurrency that I own. Because I understand why we need this. You are investing in decentralization, and everything that you're watching happen right now should be telling you why you need to be investing in Bitcoin. I'll do an OnlyFans, like Tony Jones Clark said. I'll be on OnlyFans. I'll come over here. I'll put on a show every night for you. We'll have, Wednesday will be strip show Wednesdays to get them donations. I will be doing everything in my power to get me some money to buy as much Bitcoin as I possibly can. But again, like I said before, you can see that this blue line is people who brought Bitcoin within the last 30 days who were selling on March 11th. People who brought Bitcoin in the last 90 days is the green line. In the last 180 days, those are new people coming into the market. And the reason why I'm saying that is that you have to start thinking about these are, like I said, hedge funds or traders who are trading Bitcoin. people like myself, I'm holding Bitcoin and Ethereum long term, especially with DeFi. You have to have I think it's 32 Ethereum once they switch over to proof of stake. So that's where I'm at with that. And I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Yeah, I think I covered everything. So I'll take a few questions and see what's going on here in the chat. So let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Let's go to the chat. And again, thank you for everyone who donated. Appreciate the donations. See if there's any questions. OnlyFans. I would definitely look into the Isaac Arthur and the Type 2 and 3 civilization. I'll look into it, and I'll let you know what I think. There's 180 of you watching this. Please hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And join my mailing list. I've never purchased from Kitco, so I couldn't give you an answer on Kitco. I'll look into the company and I'll let you know what I think about them, but I've never purchased any gold or silver from them, so I couldn't tell you. John Joseph, I believe that Andrew Yang was promoting the UBI, the Universal Basic Income, and most government programs that start off as being temporary, they end up becoming permanent. And I can see where this $1,200 one-time payment that they're giving everyone, I can see how something similar to that can end up becoming permanent long-term. I could definitely see that. I can definitely see how that can become a permanent staple and a permanent program because you have to think about it. Automation is here and it's going to take jobs. And technology is extremely deflationary because technology makes things more efficient and it basically makes people obsolete. So technology isn't going away. Once Tesla perfects the self-driving car, that's going to destroy the cab industry, like totally wipe out the cab. It's going to make the cab industry irrelevant. The whole taxi and cab industry is irrelevant. Uber's already working and helping design self-driving cars. Then Tesla's now designing self-driving trucks. Once Tesla perfects the self-driving truck, what is that going to do to one of the most common jobs that most people have, which is truck driving? Now, obviously, that may be in the next 10 years. It's not anytime soon, but you can see the path and the trajectory that we're on where a lot of jobs are just going to become obsolete. Let's just be honest about it. So it's like even being like a tax preparer, there's like software and applications that can do that now. So I believe that making the UBI, that $1,200 payment monthly, is just going to be something that the government's going to have to do because it's extremely hard to retrain people. They're like, new jobs will pop up, obviously. But you know how hard it's going to be to retrain people? Because let's be honest, most people are lazy. They don't want to have to go and learn new skills and stuff like that. And the older you get, the less likely you are to go pick up a new skill. So, that's just the reality that technology is going to make a lot of jobs, and things, obsolete. Like Amazon. Yeah, Amazon has a grocery store where you can just walk in and it automatically scans your card when you first walk in and you just pick up your groceries. Crypto Griot, do you feel like the Bitcoin halving will pump and dump? No, will be a pump and dump. Absolutely not. I believe that this dump that we've seen happen here with Bitcoin, I believe that this is the wipe out the weak hands. And this is why this chart is important because it shows you what this BTC revived supply. This chart really shows you that people who hold Bitcoin like myself, we're not selling. I'm buying more. And I have a lot of Bitcoin. I have big money in Bitcoin. And I know people that have way more money than me and they're investing in Bitcoin. Like, as I said to you before, if you knew the amount of intellectual capital and financial capital, I'm talking about people who are executives at big Fortune 500 companies who have left their job to come over into the cryptocurrency space, and they're working on DeFi, and they're working on building on Ethereum and MakerDAO, and they're building on top of the Bitcoin and Tezos, you would say to yourself, you would be a fool to think that this is some type of a scam. I'm talking about these are highly intelligent and credentialed and successful people in business and entrepreneurship and computer science. And, I'm talking about like real people, serious people, and they're putting billions of dollars to work. So this, to me, this crash you see, again, this is a lot of hedge funds who were speculating, who were over levered because the Fed was giving everyone cheap money. They're getting liquidated. And you're probably going to see more liquidations happen. A lot of arbitrage and traders getting wiped out. Remember, Bitcoin's success isn't indicative or based upon the price. It's based on the technology. Does the infrastructure work? Can I send you payments and be synonymous? Absolutely. Right? Does the network work? Right? We good. When you look at DeFi, is DeFi working the way that it's supposed to work? Not really. Some of the protocols are working okay, some aren't. But for the most part, all of this technology works. So we know that the tech works. Now it's just a matter of making the tech accessible for more people. And this is where developers come into play, right? We need more developers to make crypto user friendly, because most people, they don't understand a private key, a public address. That's just too complicated for a lot of people. So what we need to do in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency or whatever project is we need to make it more simple for the everyday average man to use. That's when the internet really began to take off. When you go back to like the Netscape days, like back when people were running Netscape and, LimeWire and all these crazy programs, like the internet wasn't what it is today. The reason why the internet is so dominant and so robust is because it's so user-friendly. You don't have to be tech savvy to use the internet. It's the same thing with your personal computer. That's why Apple began to take market share from the PC market, because PC markets were all about, being a PC master race and how complicated and personalizing your computing experience. The everyday person just wants to open up their computer and use it. They want to watch a few videos, go on social media, and call it a day. They don't want to know about what motherboard to run, what type of GPU, your BIOS, overclocking. Average people don't care about that. Average people care about, can they open up that's what makes Macs so powerful, is I open up my MacBook and it works. I don't have to add anything to it. I don't have to be technical. I don't have to know about RAM and GPU and motherboards and overclocking my CPU, because the average person doesn't care about that. People like me who are gamers or people who are into mining and stuff like that, you care about that. So we have to figure out a way to make Bitcoin more accessible for the average person, to make crypto more accessible for the average person, and onboard more people, because only 1% of the global population owns crypto. As I said to you guys before, like we're early. We're so early in the crypto revolution. Like we're early. We're here before everyone else is here. And that's what we need to be focusing on, is spreading the gospel, not to us, to other, people who are into computer science or into cypherpunks or into privacy or libertarians. We need to be talking to the average Joe who doesn't see the value in Bitcoin. Talking to older people, boomers who have most of the money, and explaining to them why this financial system is broken and why it's corrupt and why we need decentralization and not centralization. Like, our government is failing us. Our financial system is failing us. Our voting systems is failing us. All across the board, we see it's failing. And we need to make sure that we're ushering in ushering in a new system and really trying, because crypto's our last chance, guys. If crypto doesn't work, we're done. The New World Order, George Orwell's 1984, Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World, it's here. So if decentralization and crypto doesn't work, we're done. You can put a fork in it. And I'm not, me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a realist. If crypto doesn't save us, we're done. Let's see something. A lot of people become obsolete. I answered the question about the halving. The halvings, I believe the halving is going to be a pump. I don't believe it's going to be a dump. I know I went into a whole rant just to answer your question, Crypto Griot. I believe the halving is going to be a pump like we've never seen before. But I believe we're going to dump before we get to the pump. Are there Bitcoin ETFs? No, there's no Bitcoin ETF, and I don't want a Bitcoin ETF. I don't. Centralizing Bitcoin is the worst thing you can do. We don't need Bitcoin ETFs. We don't need more regulation around Bitcoin. We need to make the infrastructure and the user experience more simple. We need to simplify that. We don't need to corporatize Bitcoin. I think that's where we go wrong, corporatizing Bitcoin. Look what happened with Steeman and Justin Sun recently. Verge is garbage. I wouldn't touch Verge if I had $1 million for free. I wouldn't touch Verge. It's garbage. Let's see some other questions. Let's look and see what else is going on here. I can see Tezos hitting like $25 to $30 range. I look at Tezos. I can see Tezos being worth, like $30 billion, $25 billion market cap. Let's pull it up over here. Let's look at.
Look at you making progress, drinking.
We got to see Tezos over here, $1.59. I can see Tezos getting to like a $25 billion market cap, $30 billion market cap. But again, you have to understand, right? Like a lot of people ask me about Ripple. And I say this time and time again. At a certain point, you need utilization. People have to start using the coin. You have to get from vaporware and saying, oh, MoneyGram is using this and this bank is using this. And it has to be, no, like I'm not paying you to use it. There's no partnership. No, they're using it. They're building on it. See that? So when I see Ripple, people always ask me, can you make money in Ripple? Yes. All of these cryptocurrencies are going to pump. If Bitcoin pumps, all the top 100 is going to pump. You're going to make money if Bitcoin pumps. We're not talking about making money here. We're talking about the technology and utilization. See, at a certain point in 2017 and 2016, when the market was pumping, it wasn't pumping off of the fact that people were using it. It was pumping based upon what it could be. Like all you needed was a white paper. I mean, what the hell? Dentacoin at one point was pumping. Like everything's going to pump. But now we're to the point now where we're past the everything pumping phase now, as far as like any coin with a white paper. The next bull run, the real big money, like can Ripple double? Yeah. Can another 14 billion, 20 billion pour into Ripple? Yes. But at a certain point now, it's going to be about utilization. Who is using this stuff? And what is it being used for? Is it just vaporware where what you're going to be? Or is it, what are you doing? Like one thing we know, people are transacting in Bitcoin. We can look at the daily volume and see that. There's developers developing on top of Bitcoin. There has a huge developer base. You can go look at the GitHub and the repository and see there are people working on the Bitcoin protocol. When you go to Ethereum, you can see that there's a huge amount of people working on the Ethereum protocol. That's what you want to see. You want to see people building on top of these blockchains and building on top of these protocols. You don't want to just see, the CEO talking about, oh, we're in the introductory phase and we're trying to, get partnerships. And no, you want to see real world application happening. Because if it's not happening, then it's just like, you're just really selling people what you may be, what you may become. And we see that happen during the dot-com bubble. And then eventually, most of those companies who were just talking about what they're going to become, and they just had a .com next to their name, they went away, right? So at a certain point, you got to put up or put up or shut up. And a lot of these cryptocurrencies is just like So even with Tezos, like if Tezos can actually like really get people to start utilizing the protocol and building on top of it, maybe. But I like 0x. I love 0x. I love basic attention token. I love Ethereum. I love what I love what I'm seeing. Like I love Maker. I like to see real people building and utilizing stuff. I like the whole idea of DeFi because it shows you that there's a possibility of using this. This is the last year BTC at 3,800 to 4,200. I dream of this price. I mean, guys, I as I said before, if Bitcoin goes down to $2,500, $3,000, I will sell everything in my possession to buy more, because I understand what Bitcoin. I understand the tech, and I understand the vision of why we need decentralization. This right here should wake everyone up as to why we have to get away from a centralized government. We have to get away from central banking. Centrally planned economies are not efficient, and they don't work. They only benefit the top 1%. They only benefit those at the top. Centralization doesn't benefit everyday Americans. It doesn't. It doesn't benefit everyday people. And this is globally. Right? The same problems happening across the board. We need a new financial system. We need a new governing system. Right? We need new systems, and we need more transparency than ever before. We don't need more closed blockchains. We need open blockchains. Right? We need transparency. We don't need a Fed coin. We need a coin where everyone has consensus. It's a rule. Right? We need rules without rulers. That's the beautiful thing about decentralization, right? Like, you have to operate within a framework. There's a protocol, there's rules, there's consensus. And if you're operating out of the consensus, none of the nodes are going to take you serious. They're not going to validate anything that you're doing, because you're operating outside of what the network says are the rules. And that's what everyone comes into Bitcoin. When you are running a node and you are participating in the Bitcoin network, everyone understands what those rules are. There's no hidden rules. There's no hidden bailouts. There's no special set of rules for this group of people versus that group of people. There's no rules. I mean, there's no special rules. There's a set layer, a set group of rules that you must follow. There's no special rules for this group. Like, Wall Street doesn't have a special set of rules, and Main Street has, worse rules. It doesn't work that way. And that's the power of, cryptocurrency in general and decentralization in general. Let's see if somebody said it here. I would just say YouTube videos, Lou H. Also, where's the best place to prep for C++ certification? I would just simply say go to Coursera or take some free tutorials on YouTube. There's a ton. Just type in C++ tutorials. I mean, there's a ton. I hear Jack Dorsey went to Africa to push it. Ericsson was talking to Ivan on tech about it. Microsoft is developing mining tech. And also, so in that regard, that means that we're like 10 years early into Bitcoin for it to be widely adopted and user-friendly. No, I believe that. See, what you have to understand is that you have to look at the network effect, right? Because we have so much technology today, it's going to make adoption much, much easier, because you have to then start looking at the doubling effect of technology, right? There's so much infrastructure in place to make it more efficient. So I'm telling you guys, within the next 3 to 5 years, the world's going to look different. Either crypto's going to succeed, decentralization is going to succeed, or centralization is going to succeed. But if decentralization succeeds, we're going to see a much freer and open society. But it's 3 to 5 years. It's going to tell you everything you need to know. That's it. Like, it's not going to take 10. I promise you that. It's going to take 3 to 5. And that's just the computing power. It doubles every year. I think it's called Moore's Law. I want to be correct before I say that, because I know people love to try to fact check me all the time. Yeah, there we go. I'll put it up for you guys. Right? Moore's Law refers to Moore's perception that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years, though the cost of computing is halved. Moore's Law states that we can expect the speed and capability of our computers to increase every couple of years. And if you understand that, computing power just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. I mean, the amount of computing power you have in your phone is insane. Like, people don't understand how powerful technology is. So, I try to tell you this all the time. Like, the next 3 to 5 years is going to look extremely different. And it's going to be faster than 10, I promise you. It's going to look extremely, extremely different. The world's going to look much different. Thank you for that. And night. Let's see the other questions we have in here. Bitcash, you mean Bitcoin Cash? Bitcoin Cash is garbage, and Roger Ver is a shill. Roger Ver, I was there when Roger Ver, or Ver, however you want to say his name, came and made that statement about Mt. Gox, and he said everyone's funds are fine. I spoke to, I think the guy was Marcus Capillico or something like that. That was the guy running Mt. Gox at the time. I never forget it when Roger Ver made that video. And then a few days later, they took everyone's money. So Roger Ver has no credibility. Roger Ver is all about shilling Bitcoin Cash. It's a fork of Bitcoin. None of these forks of Bitcoin is going to be successful because Bitcoin has the network effect. Bitcoin has the branding. And Bitcoin has the developers. Like, like fake Satoshi and all those people in Calvin Air. They're never going to be able to co-opt the Bitcoin brand. They're just not. As I said before, I live here in New York City. So I get to go to like a lot of crypto meetups and stuff before this whole virus thing happened. And guys, I tell you, I meet some serious people that are involved in, and they're not involved in a lot of these, Bitcoin forks. They're involved in Bitcoin. They're involved in Ethereum. They're involved in Tezos. I'm talking about serious people that really, they're credentialed. They're serious cypherpunks. They've been in technology for 20, 30 years. They're serious about privacy and development. This is not just some Johnny come lately type of person. Now, as far as Africa is concerned, Jack Dorsey is doing what he's supposed to do. He's taking cryptocurrency to people who need it. As I told you guys before, more than almost 2 billion people in the world don't have bank accounts. I want you to think about that. 2 billion people in the world don't have access to financial services. With Bitcoin, all you have to do is download the software client. You don't need identification. You don't need permission. It's permissionless. It's borderless. It's open. And you have banking. You can transact. You're a part of the economy, the financial economy. You can buy and sell goods online. You can get access to Tether, and you can get access to Ethereum. You can get access to stable coins. So, that's the power of crypto. 2 billion people don't have banking. So taking it over to Africa, where it can definitely be used, is onboarding people. We have to get out of this. I see so many people worry about the price of Bitcoin. How much is Bitcoin? Speculation is for us in the Western cultures. For those of us who have banking, like, we can speculate in Bitcoin because we don't see the value in having, a bank account, because we have Wells Fargo, we have Bank of America, we have JP Morgan Chase. We have access to banking. We have credit unions, right? So we don't see the need to have adequate banking. But if you're living in Venezuela, right? If you're living in Lebanon and you have an authoritative government or a repressive regime, and they're telling you how much money you can take out and can't take out, if you're experiencing hyperinflation like in Zimbabwe or Venezuela, and you have 10 million% inflation, you need some stable money. You need some cryptocurrency. See, people don't care about things until it breaks. And we're experiencing that right now with being confined in our homes. You don't see how serious something is until it's serious. And then you go, oh, shit, excuse my language. Oh, my God. Like, wait, the government can lock me in my house? Wait, the government can take away my rights? Wait, the government can close down my business? See, people don't care about things until it happens. People like me who are three-dimensional thinkers, we think ahead. So I start thinking about, you can't stop Bitcoin. It's a protocol. It's software. There are millions of nodes throughout the world. You couldn't stop Bitcoin if you wanted to. You couldn't stop it. It's everywhere. It's a virus. It's everywhere. You can't stop it, right? The only way you would have to stop it is you would have to cause economic harm to yourself. You have to shut down your entire power grid. You really think the world's going to shut down every power grid everywhere? Come on, that doesn't even make any logical sense. And even then, you can transact. The Blockstream has a satellite that can push out the signal for the blockchain. What's happening? So I mean, it's just like it's like at a certain point, you just begin to understand the power of this stuff and why we need it. And we have to onboard more people. So when Jack Dorsey goes to Africa, it's about onboarding people. It's about building the infrastructure. And that's what we need to be doing now. And that's what I'm trying to do with my channel. I'm trying to get as many of you to start coding, to start programming, to learn about Solidity, to learn about Python, to learn about C, to learn about scripting, because there's so much opportunity in this space. Go to some Bitcoin meetups. Go to some crypto meetups. Get in tune with the technology. I'm telling you, there's so much opportunity. We are early, but soon we won't be early. I gave this analogy the other day. Imagine back in 2010, 11, and 12, if you knew how to build apps in the App Store. No one really knew how to program and build on iOS. No one knew that. Only very few people knew how to do that. So you had first movers advantage when you could do that, to be able to build applications for the App Store. So it's easy to get your apps to rank. It was easy to sell it because you were first. Like, look at Angry Birds. I remember the game Angry Birds. Right? The game Angry Birds, that was like a phenomenal game. They turned Angry Birds, a game with you flicking birds. I think I was like a sophomore in college then. When you flick birds on your screen, they turned it into a movie. They turned it into dolls. Why? Because they were first. They were first to do it. And this is what you have the chance to do now. You have the chance to be first. Get in early. Roberto Morales said, not everyone can learn programming. Cool. Then go try to start a fund. Go try to be a venture capitalist. Go try to be a hedge fund, right? Learn the consulting aspect of in Bitcoin. Learn how to put deals together. It's not all about coding. Go learn how to structure deals. If you're an attorney, go learn about law. Right? Become an attorney for crypto companies, right? Like whatever skill you have, bring that skill over to crypto. I focus on the technology aspect because that's what I'm into. So I focus on the tech side, but there's a lot of attorneys getting into the legal side of cryptocurrency, right? Like, so if you're an attorney, then approach it from the legal perspective and base your business or add a layer of your business to dedicating it to crypto, right? Like, or if you're into, accounting, try to figure out how you can partner with some of these companies and get in there, like governance, paperwork, like filing, like all types. There's so many other ways you can get involved in crypto. I just like to approach it from the tech side because that's what interests me, the technology. But there's other ways of figuring out. You can get into mining, right? Maybe mining may be the thing for you. Governance may be the thing. Who knows? See what other questions we have. So we'll go another 9 minutes. I'll go 9 more minutes of questions. When I say that, when I say 4 months to learn, that's if you really dedicate, and you're not going to be some expert. What I'm saying is that if you take 3 to 6 months and you're putting in 8 hours a day, like right now, you're putting in let's not even say 8. Let's say you put in 4 to 6 hours every day working on coding in a specific language. You should be proficient enough within that time period that you can go into the marketplace and start looking for jobs, especially very low entry level jobs. I am not telling you that you're going to go make 6 figures. I am not telling you that you're going to go make thousands of dollars. I'm telling you that you could go get you a nice little internship, like entry level job. I'm telling you that you can go and start building stuff for people on Fiverr. You can go and start building indicators and stuff in the Ninja Trader ecosystem. Like, you can go and start building stuff for people and getting paid. Remember, programming is a meritocracy. It's a meritocracy. It's about, you get paid based upon how good you are. It's not like, oh, well, I know how to code, so I'm just going to get paid 8 hours a day. No, like, people hire you based upon how good you are. Now, if you have a mathematics background, if you understand technology a little bit, you'll pick the skill up easy. But that's if you have some level of, common sense. I mean, like, if you're functionally illiterate, then no, you're not going to be able to pick it up in 4 months. Like you won't pick it up in 4 months or 5 months. Like, if you can't count and you can't read and write, then no, you probably can't. But if you have some education, if you have some education and you have some common sense and you know how to read and write, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to pick that skill up within a matter. There's coding boot camps where people learn in 30 days and 60 days. Now, those coding boot camps are extremely expensive, but some people go and learn in 60 days. So, yeah, if you put 4 to 6 hours in every day, there's no reason why you can't learn within the next 3 to 6 months how to be a good programmer. There's just no reason why not. But again, like I said, you have to have an IQ above room temperature. You have to be able to process information a little bit. No, a lot of those can't. Those. Let's look at the weed stocks, because I was messing around with these weed stocks before. Let's look at weed stocks. I like to look at Canopy Growth, because that's really the only one that's really worth looking at. Yeah, look at this, guys. These weed stocks. Whenever you get a bubble like this, and you get a blow off top like this, it's going to take time before it comes back. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. Like these weed stocks, the valuations that they were able to achieve and reach, these companies were not worth that. Like, they don't have the sales, they don't have the distribution in place yet to be worth $70 a share, $60 worth a share. Like, it's going to take a while. Again, personal finance. What are you looking for? You're looking to make money in the next year, next 3 years, next 5 years. What's your time horizon? What's your time frame? What's my opinion on 5G? I don't really have an opinion yet. There's a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. I just haven't had the time to really look into 5G, to be quite honest with you. I haven't had the chance to really look into it to give you a clear cut view on what I think. I do have a question for you, Eli. What is your primary goal in life as far as business goes? Do you have a specific number you are trying to reach? When do you plan on retiring? That's a good question, Trent Davis. That's a really, really good question. If you were to ask me that question 5 years ago, it was a money goal, right? I just wanted to be rich. Now that I'm a little bit older, I'm a little bit more mature, and I have a little bit more life experience. That's why I'm so passionate about crypto and blockchain, because I understand the value that it can bring to people's lives. It can really change the world. And as you get older, something weird happens to you. You begin to start, if you're a human, if you have humanity, as you get older, you begin to start thinking about other people. Right? You tend to want to bring more value to other people than just yourself, especially when financially you're doing okay. You don't really have a lot of hardship in your life. You want to try to bring that joy to other people. And to me personally, that's what I want to aspire to. I want to aspire to create something or build something that has impact on more people than just myself. So to me, I would feel more accomplished, like if I was able to, for example, build a platform where I could reach thousands of people and change people's lives, not financially, but just motivate, inspire, help people grow, or create a piece of technology, or software, like something like a Bitcoin or like an Ethereum that people can use to improve themselves, stuff like that. Be like a motivational speaker, something that I don't know what that thing is yet, right? I don't know. And that's, like I said, that's a great question. But I want to be able to create something that will impact more people than just myself, right? Doesn't just benefit me. And I don't I don't know what that would be right now. I have to figure that out. So to me, it's not a dollar amount. Like, I enjoy researching, I enjoy reading, I enjoy doing these live streams. As I said to you before, like I don't make enough money to be able to live off of YouTube at all, but I enjoy it. I genuinely enjoy these live streams. I enjoy making these videos because I enjoy being able to give people a basic template and direction in their life that they can learn how to fish rather than teaching people how to fish. And I get messages all the time on Instagram of people saying they started their first business because of my business tutorial video that I've given them, that I've made. People got their first credit card, their first business credit card. Like, to me, that type of stuff feels good. I like that type of stuff. So for me, there isn't a dollar amount that I'm looking for, and I'll probably I want to be like an Andreas Antonopoulos, how he can just go around the world and spread cryptocurrency to people, and lecture people, not lecture you about the end of the world, but lecture you about how, things can benefit you and change the world. There's so many people who can talk to you about the problems, but very few people bring you solutions. And that's the key thing I want to do in my life. I want to be able to bring people solutions. That's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to bring people solutions in their lives, not sit up here and talk to you all day about the problems, but really talk to you about how you can solve some of these problems in your life. And I think that is a value in itself, helping people solve their problems. And I'm happy I helped you get your first credit card. Trent Davis, I would appreciate if you could message me that on Instagram. Because I get a lot of people that hate on me and troll me and make videos about me. So, I appreciate you guys who support the content, who like the videos and stuff like that. And, I plan on making a video one day to just show, I'm helping people in my way. I don't claim to be perfect. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I feel like if I'm giving back to people, by giving will help me. I think that exchanges should be fair in that way. Let's see what other questions they have here. Udemy has $10 courses every once in a while. They have sales every month. So yeah, Udemy has a ton of courses. It's like a ton of different courses that you can go and learn from, and they're very inexpensive. And that's the beautiful thing about the internet. The internet does that for you. Gary Vee is really, really good with motivating people and giving you a realistic expectation as to what entrepreneurship is. And I love Gary Vee for that. I don't like when he tries to encourage people to drop out of school. I don't like that, but I like Gary Vee for the fact that he gives you more of a realistic mindset and framework as to how to approach entrepreneurship. It's not about making millions of dollars. It's about financial freedom and time freedom and being comfortable. Like, if I can make, for some people, $60,000 a year is fine if they get to make $60,000 doing the things that they like to do. It's fine. They love it. Some people, $100,000 a year from the comfort of their home is fine. Other people, they want $10 million a year, right? It's relative. It's it's subjective. It's what you want. And I think that's the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur. Right? I think that's the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur and being realistic, not listening to these people like Grant Cardone, who's talking to you about Rolexes and, how many houses you have. A lot of you need to get that out your mind, because that's just not the reality. It's not the reality. The reality is many of you are never going to become a millionaire. You're just not. You may earn $1 million over your lifetime, but you're never going to be a millionaire at one time. That doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. And that's why I laugh at people who think like, we've created this society where about billionaires and millionaires. That's not what success is, man. Success is doing what you like to do, what you love to do, and making a living from it. That's what success is. And I think that, again, this goes back to decentralization. We have to really re-engineer our society and what our values are. Like, I don't respect you because, you can make a bunch of money by creating Tulsa real estate and, scheming people out of their money. Like, to me, that doesn't, like, just because you're rich in real life, I care about how you earned that money, right? If you earned that money off of scamming, unsuspecting black people, I don't respect that, right? Like you may be rich in real life, but that's not impressive to me, right? That only impresses low vibrational people like myself, who I like to grind, I like to hustle and I like to put my work in. I'm not impressed because you have nice things or you have a nice house. I care about how you made that money, because how you made that money is going to tell me a lot about who you are. And I just think, again, as a society, as a culture, we really need to move away from this whole, idolizing people who they have Bentleys and jets and yachts and stuff like that. I want those things. I wouldn't mind having a yacht. I like it. I would want to have it. Trust me when I tell you, I want a yacht. I want it, but I'm not going to sacrifice my integrity for those things. I'm not going to go out here and try to defraud people, and go stand on corners and tell people who they probably don't have a bank account that they're going to be a millionaire if they buy my course. Like that, I'm not going to do that. So I believe in that. So that's why I like Gary Vee. I enjoy Gary Vee because he preaches the idea about being realistic and being an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. And I think that that's one of the keys, is always being realistic and understanding what you're doing this for and who you're doing this for, and get away from that whole hype, living on the beaches and traveling and hitting the club. Like, again, as you get older, you grow out of those things. Like once you get in your 30s, your late 20s, your early 30s, you kind of get out of that phase of wanting to just party, getting Rolexes and yachts and stuff like that. So that's the reality. But with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to end the live stream there. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join my mailing list, which is in the description below. Follow me on Instagram and DM me. If you want to support the content financially, my Cash App and PayPal is below. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.